Good morning, everyone. Just a reiteration to the students who are watching this live. The classes will be from 7:45 for this 1 week, and after this 1 week, the classes will be shifted to the evening slot. And the prelims and mains training sessions will only be in the offline mode and they won't be streamed online. And the newspaper analysis will continue as such. Therefore, try to make yourself available in the offline mode so that it is conducive for us to train the interested students. And this is open for everyone in Hyderabad. Okay, let's begin the analysis for the day. So the most important articles for the day, we'll just discuss and briefly sum them up. The various dimensions, the reality of the changing dimensions of warfare. Here we are talking about the conception of power. We are using the same discussion that we had yesterday. The purpose of this analysis is to ensure that you have a standardized principles of approaching any issue. Let's say when we are talking about international relations, the most important aspect is how power is shared and what are the dynamics that influence this narrative. Okay, what is power? Power is nothing but access to resources and the legitimacy with which we control them. What gives nations power? We have discussed this previously. Hard power, and then you have soft power. Yesterday we saw, with respect to China's bid to control the Buddhist, yesterday or day before yesterday, I don't remember. Yesterday itself, right? Yeah. Yesterday we saw one article where China was trying to control the narrative on how it has been the propagator of Buddhism and tried to gain some monopoly, cultural monopoly over Buddhist thought, over the institutions that were responsible for spreading Buddhism. In contrast, India was the place where Buddhism saw origin. In the absence of institutions and governance frameworks that will support an idea, you are bound to see this kind of cultural assertion, or in fact, we can say the power is being hijacked, the soft power is being hijacked by China. And in international relations and diplomacy, any country should strive to strengthen its engagement with any other country on both these fronts. When I say hard power, it is about the military and the use of force. And the purpose of use of force is not to wage a war, but to ensure that there is defense and deterrence. Okay? When it comes to soft power, it is about governance, where we spoke about the 3F, plus you have an idea that will govern this decision making of how funds, functions and functionaries should work together. Yesterday we discussed all of that. Today's article is about the first aspect, the hard power, and how there is an evolution of this concept of hard power. In this article, there is an important point, important historical event which helps you understand how the modern idea of nation state came into evolution, and that is called the Peace of Westphalia Treaty, as it's famously called. This this treaty gave the origin for the modern conception of a nation state. What is a state? Basic political concept we have discussed multiple times. State is, there are 4 aspects to the state: territory, population, sovereignty, and government. Okay? These four conceptions, the idea of a state evolved from this starting point. So, anyone who does not have a PSIR background, just go back and read about this so that you can use it in your essay. Okay, essay and ethics as an example. So, ever since, how is the world evolving? How are the institutions evolving? Are we really moving towards what we know today as the rules based world order? Or is this just a myth? This is a question that we need to ask. Why are we talking about this whole narrative of a rules based world order? This is a result of the aftermath of World War II. What happened in the World War II? Immense destruction. As a result, thanks to the so-called Washington Consensus, or the Bretton Woods Consensus, or the Bretton Woods institutions like the World Bank, IMF, there is also the formation of UN, the entire UN system, which was supposed to maintain peace, and UN became the institutional force behind the global governance architecture, where governments come together and resolve those issues. But did it really solve its purpose? If it was indeed solving the purpose, whatever is happening right now is a joke. Russia-Ukraine war, the Middle East, all the issues in the Gulf. The Balkan states are again witnessing the rise of right-wing conservative governments. There is no stability. There is aggression from China. There is aggression from Russia. Afghanistan has not seen peace in the last 3 decades. What peace are we talking about? Is it really working? If yes, how? There's no proof that it was working. And this brings us to the point. Is the rules-based world order really a reality? To this dimension, you need to add how this concept of hard power is evolving over a period of time. Here, the same thing is being discussed. The nature of warfare, from a direct confrontational warfare, that is now evolving into a asymmetric. What do you mean by asymmetry? Visualize a seesaw. Okay, visualize something like this. If there is a balance, if there are both sides of conflict, if the power both these have is equal, that kind of a system is called symmetry. Let's say both the parties have same kind of technology, same kind of weapons. That kind of a system is called asymmetric warfare. If there is absence of equality in what they possess as technology, that kind of a system is called asymmetric warfare. Okay? Today's world is marked by asymmetric warfare primarily because of the involvement of the so-called non-state actors. Or it's also called proxy warfare. And this phenomenon increased after 9/11. Or the world started witnessing more of it from 9/11. You know the 9/11 attacks, right? On the World Trade Center in New York in 2001, which changed the global trajectory of international relations. Terrorism became an international issue after that. and yet we do not have a convention that designates terrorists, because there is no consensus on who can be termed as a terrorist despite attacking the sovereignty of a nation. And that's a major conflicting point in international relations. So when you have this kind of asymmetric warfare, to this warfare you add some more dimensions, like say for example autonomous weapons or AI based systems plus drones plus biological warfare plus misinformation, deep fakes, which together destabilizes the internal peace and security of a nation. There is an internal rot. So a couple of years ago, our national security advisor, Mr. Ajit Doval, also mentioned how civil society is becoming the new frontier of warfare. What do you mean by this? Let's say there is a foreign power which wants to destabilize India from within. They would engage non-state actors like this and fund them from within the country to nurture an anti-India rhetoric from within, support the opposition governments, no matter who is in opposition. There is always an anti-establishment stance. They will use NGOs to stop developmental work, citing one or the other reason. Of course, there is an element of truth to that. Let's say, for example, if there is a mining activity happening, rights will be impeded or they will be taken away. Civil society bodies should be respected there. But even in issues where development is an imperative for this nation and there is an alternative for environmental problems, even in those cases, there is a strong anti-India narrative. An issue-based dissent is different from an anti-India rhetoric. The second aspect is what we should be very concerned about. And this misinformation warfare is also another aspect of hard power, which we should try to contain. Clear? And this together will help you understand the evolution of how international relations is changing. And India should adapt for all of this. And again, we are going back to the same book of Nexus, where narratives become very important. Because narratives will shape how India is viewed globally. Global image. It can either paralyze a nation and its diplomatic activities or propel it in the direction of being a Vishwaguru and the representative of the global south. Okay? That is the first summary of the article that you should be focusing on. Spare live animals, move to biological models. This is more from an ethical standpoint. In GS4, you have applied ethics. And within this, you have ethics in scientific angle or bioethics. From that dimension, if you take a look at this article, the whole point is when you're carrying out experiments in labs, we use live animals. They'll be killed. And in today's world, with the present level of development in science, there is no need for torturing animals. Therefore, this article talks about how we have to amend the Prevention of Animal Cruelty Act of 1960 and bring in a provision which enforces the duty on scientific researchers to avoid using live animals as much as possible, because it's a moral imperative where we go by something called the One Health approach, where thanks to the pandemic, which saw how a interaction with wildlife can also impact human beings. Because we are living in a system. Something happens to that system, everything will get distorted, and that's why we have to have this unified approach where we respect the life forms and remain, make sure they remain intact. This concept may not be given in this, but I was trying to link it to this concept. From an ethical standpoint, even if you are not ethical, from a selfish human standpoint, this concept should at least help us move in that direction. Okay? That is the second takeaway for this article. Takeaways from Swachh Survekshan. See, all these articles are posted in the Telegram channel, Hindu Highlights. I request you to go back and look at that. On this note, what is the importance of a competition or a ranking? It acts as an incentive for or a motivating factor for people to perform better. Did that reality actually materialize, or is there some way in which you can say no, it's not working? You need to ensure, see, there is an end objective with which we start an activity, right? Now we want to see if that is actually happening or not. With the same thought process, we are looking at Swachh Survekshan Urban. In today's articles, we have a lot of information and case studies that you can use across your GS and essay. So I've posted them on the Telegram channel. I request you to note them down in your long-term notes, wherever. Sometimes I usually say that it is not important to make notes, but when you get such good case studies, etc., which will not be found in usual material, store them in a structured format. Let's say, for example, if you are storing all the articles on a Google Drive, take this article, go to the respective syllabus pointer, put it there. For example, GS2 governance. Under that governance, government policies. Under government policies, one of the tab might be about Swachh Bharat Mission and important case studies. Under that, whatever examples that I give, Indore, Lucknow, Agra, various models that I posted on the channel, copy and paste them in your notes, only the facts, only the case studies, not random information and examples. Sometimes you can, for example, for essay also you can collect examples. Collect facts and examples, not every random fact, some unique fact that you can use. For that purpose, you can make notes. But don't make short summaries of every article and call it as notes, because you will never touch it. Okay? Anyway, coming back. What is this article about? It's about a government policy called Swachh Bharat Mission. We all heard about it. What is the purpose of Swachh Bharat Mission? Cleanliness. To ensure that waste is not disposed in an unscientific manner, so that it leads to good health. The outcome is cleanliness as well as good health. Okay, and for achieving this objective, there needs to be a behavioral change, not namesake, Instagram friendly poses for cleaning. It requires a systemic reform, not just a periodic display of cleanliness. How is this possible? When you have every stakeholder doing what they are supposed to do. Who are the stakeholders here? It starts with people. Then you have institutions. And then you have government leading the information, education, awareness aspect of ensuring that behavior changes over a period of time in citizens. You might place a dustbin there, but if people don't put things in that, I mean, every one of us is guilty, including myself. At times, I might thoughtlessly put things on the road because that is how we were culturally used to that. And things have changed. At times when you are, making the mistake of the same old habit, you require some kind of an external, reminder that please don't go back to your old habits. That serves as an accountability mechanism. And when you have surveys like this, Swachh Survekshan, they are like this accountability mechanisms where on different metrics, if you are doing well, you will be rewarded. Once a city is placed in that list, over a period of time, it became a systemic shift. For example, in Andhra Pradesh, we have Vizag, which has been consistently in more or less top 5 in this rankings. Top 5 or top 10. I don't remember the exact average number, but it has been there. Once that shift happened, if you personally see how people, let's say you go to Vizag RK Beach, even the vendors there, the street food vendors would request the customers to put the dust, when they'll provide a dustbin and they say, please put it in our dustbin. And it doesn't matter if you take the food item from their shop or it is adjacent shop, they're okay to put, to let us use the dustbins. So that is this behavioral shift, because they have a sense of belonging. They want to ensure that they live up to that expectation. And that is the beauty of collective participation. And that's why these kind of initiatives from the government will enforce collectively. If you're putting the responsibility on owners without guilt tripping people, rather in a very positive way, encouraging them to do better, you will see positive results. And Swachh Bharat Mission is a testimony to that fact. Recently, in 2024-25, the latest survey, there is a new dimension. We created something called the Super League, where new cities were brought into the ambit of this survey, which now democratized the idea of cleanliness even to smaller cities. And this will put even the smaller cities in the race and put them on the same pedestal as big metros like Bangalore, Chennai, Hyderabad, Delhi. This will create competition even for the metros to ensure that this best case studies are replicated across the country, which is good for us. What did they do? How did they do? Etc. were discussed in today's articles, and I posted them. Please go through them. Can presidential reference change a judgment? See, this is regarding the April 8th presidential judgment. Recently, again, it popped up in news. I've previously made one article regarding this. I also posted a video. We discussed this multiple times. This is about Article 143. According to this article, the president can get a clarification about the legality of an issue from the Supreme Court. Is it binding or is it not binding? It's not binding. It's the prerogative of the president and the government therein to act upon the advice given by the Supreme Court. Under what conditions is it valid? Under what conditions it is not valid? What are the various cases in which these presidential references came into discussion? Those points were discussed in the article, and the background logic behind it was also posted on the channel. I request you to go and watch that once again so that it acts as a quick revision. But if you want to take away one additional point from this article, it is about this: whether we can shift or whether a Supreme Court judgment can be changed through presidential reference. The answer is no. The available options are either a special leave petition or a curative petition. What are these? Where in the constitution was this discussed? Is again something that you have to go back to Lakshmikant and read them once again. These are the takeaways and important points from today's article. The next one is the plastic industry trying to influence green policies. Here, let me introduce you to the concept of greenwashing. What is greenwashing? It's a previous year question from 2024, I guess. Prelims question. Greenwashing. Greenwashing refers to a idea where a business practice is marketed as a sustainable practice when in reality it is not. It's a effort, it's an endeavor to bluff that we're trying to do something that is good for environment. Just like how tobacco industry tried to push the blame on the consumer, even today's plastic industry is trying to do the same. And today's article is about how we draw parallels between the tobacco industry and the plastic industry, where the choice of an individual is the primary basis for saying the mistake or the onus of maintaining one's health is with the consumer, not with the tobacco industry. In the same way, even today's plastic industry is blaming the consumer for not taking the responsibility of exercising a choice of not using it. I don't want to use plastic. Okay, fine. Now what is the alternative? The effort that we need to put is disproportionate. Why not bring about systemic changes that can make plastic use uncomfortable? That should be the direction of policy change, right? But somehow that's not happening. And in fact, the industry is blaming normal citizens. The same trend is witnessed even in the tobacco industry with respect to health. Apart from this comparison, what else should you know? Today, most of the talks with respect to recycling of plastic waste, they are associated with what? Actually, the fossil fuel industry leaders. They are driving the plastic treaty. Just like how the climate change talks, ironically, are held by oil barons. Even the plastic industry is witnessing the same trend, where business imperative is taking over the climate imperative. And this has been the trend ever since. That needs to change, and any issue like this can only be resolved when there is people's will, people's participation, when it becomes an electoral issue. Environment, health, education, the most basic facets of what constitutes a dignified human life, they are completely out of the ambit of electoral discussions. As long as they don't become issues of electoral politics, they will continue to be issues. And that is the takeaway from today's article. Okay, that's it for today. Just some initiatives that are mentioned here. Go through those facts, Google them, and yesterday we spoke about how you have to be learning that ability to link institutions to an outcome, the 3F approach. There is an idea, that is, the idea here is sustainability. If that sustainability, an idea which is a wish list, should translate into an outcome, we need governance, 3F approach: funds, functions, and functionaries. At a global level, national level, subnational level, local level. All of them should work in alignment. Only then we will see these outcomes. In the absence of such a architecture at a global level, national level, subnational level, and local level, you will not see an outcome. And the change should start from people, the bottom-up approach. And in today's article in Swachh Bharat, I mentioned this case study from Kerala about this bottom-up approach. Please go back and read that. That's it for the day. Thank you.